everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Ring's Edge. I'm sorry this is late getting out. Things have been kind of crazy here this past weekend. My mother-in-law was in town, so it's been a little hectic around here. But I'm finally being able to sit down and record from this past week. We're going to discuss all of the shows from this past week, plus some rumors that are going around and circulating through the wrestling world of what may be going on. Nothing concrete, so don't take it seriously. I'm hoping to get 2 episodes out this week. I have this one from today that I'm recording now, and I'm also going to be having a special bonus episode coming out for a follower of the Facebook page that wants me to review an event from 1991, I believe it was. So that will be happening too, possibly today, maybe tomorrow, depending on how things go and if I can get things done. We'll put it that way. But we're going to get started with reviewing of this week and the shows. So, usually our shows, the shows, are running with Monday Night Raw on Mondays, AEW Dark Elevation on Mondays. Usually that happens around 7, but just because I have been doing Raw first, Raw comes first on the list, and then Elevation. And then Tuesday nights are AEW Dark. Wednesday nights are Dynamite. Thursday nights are Ring of Honor. And Friday nights are SmackDown and Rampage. Now, next week, the week that is starting today, because this is Sunday as I'm recording this, Rampage is going to be on a special night this week. It's going to be on Saturday nights. Don't mind the cattail that you may or may not see coming through here because, I've got kittens who like to mess around and think that they're funny. But Rampage is on Saturday night this week. So the episode that would be coming out Saturday is probably going to be coming out Sunday. Just because of the special edition. So, just a programming note for future reference. So, let's get started. So, Monday Night Raw was on the 10th, right after Easter. And we see where we start out the show with Rey Mysterio. Rey comes out, he's talking about his year that he's had so far. He's talking about WrestleMania and defeating Dominic, even though he really didn't want to have the match to begin with, obviously, which we all know that. But he talks about that, and he talks about the Hall of Fame that he got inducted into. And we hear how his year has been going so far. And I'm a huge fan of Rey, so I have no problem listening to him talk. So I could listen to him talk all day long. But of course, Dominic has to interrupt because that's just what Dominic does. So Dominic comes out, of course, and says that he's tired of hearing about his dad. He's tired of hearing about the Hall of Famer that is his dad now, because his dad's a deadbeat, his dad was never around, his dad didn't, care for him because he chose wrestling over his kids. Which we all know is not true, but, storyline. So Dominic tells Rey that Judgment Day is his real family. Of course, Rey's trying to talk some sense into him because obviously Judgment Day is not his real family, but what can you do when you got a kid who doesn't like to listen? I mean, we then see footage of WrestleMania and from this past Monday. We see where Bad Bunny helps Ray at WrestleMania by taking the chain that was given to Dominic by Priest, and Bad Bunny takes the chain before Dominic can hit Ray with it. So we see Priest assaulting Bad Bunny both WrestleMania night and the following Monday on Raw. And then Ray asks Dominic when he's gonna man up. Like, this kid is like 25, and, you know, I mean, I call him a kid. He's a kid. He's younger than me. Like, I'm 31, and I feel like I'm, like, super freaking old. But I know I'm not. But to him, I mean, to me, he's a kid. Ray challenges Dominic to a WrestleMania rematch. But Dominic's like, But he knows someone who will. So the first match of the night was Finn Balor versus Ray. And of course Dominic has to interfere because that's how he is. And I think Priest also interfered in that match too. So the winner that came out was Balor. Now, we all know how I feel about the Judgment Day. I don't like the Judgment Day. But that's just me. We then see footage from earlier today, where Lita is found injured. Not sure, quote unquote, not sure who did it. But I'll give you a guess, if you want to take a guess. We then return to last Monday, where Cody Rhodes wants a rematch against Reigns, but Heyman says no, of course. So Rhodes proposes a tag team match, and Lesnar agrees to team with Rhodes. We then see Lesnar attacking Rhodes before the matchup starts later that evening. So they're just reviewing what happened last week to show what's going to happen later on. We then hear from Becky Lynch about Lita. And Lita is at a local medical facility getting treated. And of course, Becky is not happy. But Trish agrees to team with Becky and to defend the titles, because they are supposed to have a tag team championship match tonight against Raquel and Liv Morgan. So Trish decided to, team with Becky to help her out. Then we return to last week, where Matt Riddle returns, and he helps Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against the Bloodline. And again, don't mind the cats running around because they're crazy. We then see highlights of Seth Rollins' career. The second match of the night was the Women's Tag Team Championship match, which was Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus versus Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. And the winners and the champions that came out of that was Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, with Trish being pinned. Now, here's my thoughts on that. What was the point, Becky and Lita be champions if you're just going to take the titles off of them a few weeks later and give them to Raquel and Liv? Are they transitional champions? Like, what's the whole point with that? I understand it, but I don't understand it. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But after the match, we see where Trish attacks Becky. Now, here's another fun part, and here's a rumor that is circulating, and I think I talked about this last week too, to where it's possibly going to be Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch at SummerSlam on August 5th. So are they setting up for the matchup now? Or, because it is only April. So SummerSlam's not until August. Are they wrestling at Backlash? Are they also going to wrestle at Money in the Bank, which is on July 1st? I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. We return to Friday Night SmackDown and see highlights from when Triple H appeared on the show last week. And he says that the draft is returning and every superstar is eligible for the draft. So is that including NXT? So is NXT going to be eligible for this alongside Raw and SmackDown? Or is it just Raw and SmackDown? We don't really have a definite answer, but the draft is going to be happening the last Friday of this month of April and the first Monday of May. So 2 nights of a draft, which I'll be covering extensively. So be on the lookout for that when it comes. And then I was going to bring this up later, but I might as well bring it up now that we're talking about the draft. I'm going to start a fantasy wrestling league with a friend of mine. And this league will pretty much take place on Facebook and Facebook Messenger. But I'm waiting until after the draft to start it, only because I know I'm going to have to rework my rosters that I have set out. Obviously, with superstars moving, I'm going to have to rewrite all of the rosters and reconfigure everything. Now, most of the stuff is already figured out, but just the rosters are where I'm going to have an issue because they're going to change. And there's no point in starting the league and having somebody choose and then that superstar gets moved. So, I'm just gonna hold off and wait. The third match of the night was Bobby Lashley versus Bronson Reed. Now this was kind of like a throwaway match again. Obviously you have 2 big heavyweights facing each other, and I'm glad that they're giving Lashley time, especially after his WrestleMania match got scrapped. So at least they're giving him time. I'm still trying to figure out the point. Anyways. Moving on, Cody Rhodes makes his way into the ring. He talks WrestleMania. He apologizes to all of us for him losing. He talks about where Heyman said that Rhodes has to earn a rematch. And Rhodes wants to fight Lesnar at Backlash and challenges Lesnar to a match this coming Monday night. So tomorrow night we're supposed to be getting an answer from Lesnar about this. So I guess it's just wait and see what Lesnar says and if the match is going to go on. From what I hear, it's already official, but obviously we don't know that. We're just kind of have to wait until the show airs. Which, if you remember earlier when I said about them showing Rhodes getting injured by Lesnar, this is what I was talking about, is they want to set up a match between the two for Backlash. So this is what I was meaning when I said earlier about that. We we returned to last Friday where Riddle returned and helped Sami Zayn against Solo Sikoa and Jey Uso. Now that Matt is kind of back, it's like, so we're going to have a six-man match coming up because of Matt and Owens and Zayn versus the Usos and Sikoa. I guess it's just kind of wait and find out what's going to happen. Now, no guarantee that that's going to happen, but that would be where I would think where we're going. The fourth match of the night was the Usos versus the Alpha Academy. Now, again, this was another throwaway match for me just because we already know how powerful the Usos are. They don't need to take out the Alpha Academy to show themselves as being the top tag team. They don't have to do that. They could just let it go, and, we already know how powerful they are. So earlier in the night, we saw Bayley coming out of Adam Pearce's office and talking to the rest of Damage Control. And they proposed a triple threat match tonight to determine the next number one contender for Bianca Belair and her title. Well, of course, Bayley's like, well, it's gonna be me. I mean, but Io Sky's like, well, why does it always have to be you? Why can't it be one of us? What about our opportunities, So she goes back in, Bayley goes back in and talks to Pierce, and the match is changed. So the fifth match of the night was a triple threat match, and the winner faces Belair. So it was Io Sky versus Michin Mia Yim versus Piper Niven. And now this was kind of like, it wasn't a bad match. It was actually a pretty decent match. But we all knew anyways that it was going to be like Io Sky winning because you don't have a storyline, with Mia. Mia Yim isn't really in a storyline right now, and neither is Piper Niven. So there's also suggestions out there that Damage Control may be breaking up with the draft coming up. Obviously, don't know how true it is, so just, it's a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. But with the draft coming up, tag teams may be split up. I guess we will see. The sixth match of the night was Solo Sikoa versus Kevin Owens. This match wasn't really a throwaway match. This was kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. Showcasing Owens, but also you want the, they're with the whole bloodline situation. And we heard at the start of the show from Graves that some of the wrestlers were not there tonight because of travel issues that they were having. So before this match, we find out that Zayn and Riddle are not at the arena tonight because of those travel issues. So Owens is on his own, whereas Sikoa has the Usos. Now, of course, the winner that comes up on top is Sikoa. And then after the match, the Usos and Sikoa are attacking Owens. We pan to the back and we see Zayn and Riddle getting to the arena, and they come running out and attack the Usos and Sikoa coming to Owens' aid. So Is it true about the flight issues? From the reports I've read, yes. But, or was it set up for the... No speculation. I'm just putting it out there. Okay, so Dark Elevation, also that night, only had 4 matches. The first match was a 6-man tag team match. I can't even pronounce these guys' names. I think they're Japanese. But it was Sabin, the Butcher, and the Blade. Kip Sabin, the Butcher, and the Blade versus these names that I can't pronounce. And Sabin, the Butcher, and the Blade came out on top. This is just another match that's, excuse the cat here. This is a match just to pretty much showcase Kip Sabian, the Butcher, and the Blade. The second match was Nyla Rose versus Marina Shafir. Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir, versus the Renegades. The winners of this match were Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir. The third match of the night was a 6-man tag team match. Aaron Rook and Alvin Alvarez and Brother Greatness versus the Dark Order. Dark Order came out on top. And then our main event for that night was Lee Moriarty and Big Bill versus Rex Lawless and Trax. And Lee Moriarty and Big Bill came out on top. Dark, the following night on Tuesday, also had 4 matches. The first match was Matt Taven from the Kingdom versus Brian Pillman Jr. The winner for that match was Matt Taven. The second match of the night was Lee Johnson versus Blake Lee. And Lee Johnson came out on top. Third match was Josh Woods versus Daisy Kay. Josh Woods came out on top. And the fourth match and main event of that night was Willow Nightingale versus Diamante. And Willow Nightingale came out on top. Elevation and Dark don't really have storylines per se, like the shows on TV, because Elevation and Dark are only showcased on YouTube. So they don't have... I haven't seen any storylines, really, for these 2 shows. So they're just pretty much racking up wins at this point and getting your, because wins... I'm not saying that wins matter, but they do kind of matter with AEW, because, you have your top person or people. Dynamite, the following night on Wednesday, starts out with Darby Allin versus Swerve Strickland. Now, we have seen the build-up to this matchup where Swerve is pretty much taking credit for everything that is Darby. And who Darby is as a wrestler, and he's pretty much trying to take credit for that. So that's why this matchup was set up. Darby Allin comes up on top with the win. MJF comes out after the match. Because if you've been watching these last few weeks, I believe we're working up to a fatal 4-way match between the 4 pillars of AEW, which are Darby Allin, MJF, Sammy Guevara, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. So I think we're building up to a fatal 4-way match between the 4 of them for the AEW World Championship. So of course, MJF has to stick his nose in the business. So he talks about their matchup from 2021. MJF then says, well, I'm better than you. And then Darby's like, talks about helping others, and he's like, when I first started here, my first year, I had to go into therapy, and therapy's not a bad thing. And he's like, I was able to help my dad retire, I was able to help my parents buy a house. So he talks about helping others and how that made him happy despite what MJF says about him. MJF says that he's willing to do whatever it takes and take down whoever it takes to be the greatest of all time. MJF says that Alan will only be known as Sting's Bish. Trying to censor, because I don't know if I can say swear words. But then Sting interrupts. And Sting says that he's more of a cheerleader and a support system for Darby Allin, like Ric Flair was for him. Sting says that he's not Darby's dad, which we know. Sting also says that Allin will be world heavyweight champion one day. And Allin says that he will leave this world the same way he came in. MJF spits in Allen's face, then leaves the ring before Allin can respond. MJF is just cruel. Like, I am not a huge fan of his. Clearly, the second match is an open challenge for the TNT Championship. Powerhouse Hobbs, who is the champion, versus Silas Young. Powerhouse Hobbs wins. This is pretty much just a throwaway match just to show Powerhouse Hobbs and how he's a powerhouse. But after the match, we see the return of Wardlow. Wardlow comes back with a vengeance. He destroys Powerhouse Hobbs' car out in the lot. When he comes in, Wardlow and Hobbs get into it. And we see Wardlow put Aaron Solo through a table off the ramp. Like, they get into a whole big brawl. Then we return to last week where Switchblade Jay White debuted. And Juice Robinson and Jay White discuss Ricky Starks. And they also discuss how this is the new Bullet Club. Third match of the night was International Championship match, which was Orange Cassidy as the champion versus Buddy Matthews. The winner and the champion is Orange Cassidy. We see during the match that Orange injures his hand more after a couple weeks ago when he injured his hand. Because he went for an orange punch a couple weeks ago and ended up hitting Buddy Matthews' Trios Championship. And so messed up his hand. Not sure of the damage. Not sure, what that entails. But he came out with it wrapped during the match, but then ended up taking the tape off just because it wasn't helping. And he seemed to have injured it more during the match. And he almost lost the championship. But thankfully he had other finishers that he was able to use. We move on in the show to Ethan Page coming out. Ethan is in the ring and he wants answers from Matt Hardy. Now we see where Ethan faced Hook a few weeks ago And, we see that Hook won that match. So Ethan wants answers. Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy come out. Hardy said that you should always make sure that you read the fine print of the contracts, of all contracts. Read the fine print. Because Hardy says that he put in that if Hook won, Hardy and Private Party are out of the firm's contracts. So their contracts will no longer be under the firm if Hook won that match. Of course, Hook won, so Paige says that the firm is more than just him and Stokely Hathaway. Lee Moriarty and Big Bill come out and attack. Hook comes out to help Hardy and Cassidy. And then we see the surprise of the night, which we weren't really expecting. Jeff Hardy returns. And he comes out and helps his brother and Cassidy against the firm. Now, I must admit, I'm a fan of Jeff's. And Jeff looked good. Now, hopefully he will stay on track and not screw up again and won't have any more issues. That's what I'm hoping for, because he is a pretty decent guy. It's just, when you got addiction issues, it's hard to kick. Like, I've seen addicts that are like, dude, I can't do this. Like, and I had a buddy that was telling me that apparently Jeff didn't take the rehab that was offered to him by AEW. I'm not really sure. So I'm sorry, Bill, but I don't know if I believe that. That's just me, though. The fourth match of the night was Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley versus Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa. Now, we have seen over the past few weeks where the Blackpool Combat Club has been attacking, like, everyone. They took out the Elite. They took out, who's that guy that walks down with Kenny Omega? They took him out, and injured him. So it's like, they're being ruthless. I don't remember if there was an exact winner of this match. If there was, I want to say it was Castagnoli and Moxley. But I'm not really sure, because then Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks came out and attacked Blackpool Combat Club. So I'm not really sure. I don't remember the ending. But I do remember that one of the guys from, I think it was Moxley, almost took a screwdriver to the head. But Castagnoli and Wheeler got him out of the ring in time. The fifth match of the night was Riho and Sky Blue versus Ruby Soho and Toni Storm. Now, we've seen this for the past few weeks of Saraya and Ruby Soho and Toni Storm being the outcasts and causing havoc within the women's division. So Soho and Storm are the ones that came out with the win over them. And then a brawl breaks out after the match. But Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt Baker DMD come out and attack the Outcasts as they attack Rio and Blue after the match. Is this setting up for a triple threat? I mean, not a triple threat, a six-woman? Is it setting up for something else? Who knows? But the sixth match and the main event of the night was Chris Jericho versus Keith Lee. this wasn't actually a bad match. I actually thought this was a pretty decent match of the night. With Keith being a bigger guy, I was afraid that, like, you know, it may not turn out the way it's supposed to. But it actually wasn't that bad until the ending, where I want to say it was Daniel Garcia came out and helped Jericho win. And then we saw Adam Cole come out and talk with Keith Lee. Now, we don't know what was said, but they seemed to, like, fist bump afterwards, so who knows what's happening there. I guess it's just another wait and see, because we're not really sure what's happening. Excuse my cats that are running across the way. Ring of Honor episode 7 on Thursday night started out with Ari Daivari versus Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe comes out on top. Second match was Sky Blue versus Kelly Madden. Sky Blue comes out on top. Third match was Mike Bennett versus Darius Martin. Martin comes out on top with a win via disqualification. Wheeler Yuta versus Tracy Williams is the fourth match of the night, and Wheeler Yuta comes out on top. Shibata and Alex Cogan versus the Workhorsemen was the fifth match of the night. Shibata and Alex Coughlin come out with the win. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. The sixth match of the night was Willow Nightingale versus LMK. Willow Nightingale came out on top. Seventh match of the night was Tony Nese versus Stu Grayson. Stu Grayson came out on top. The eighth match of the night was Athena versus Ashley Demois. Athena comes out on top. And then the ninth match of the night and the last match was Claudio Castagnoli versus Metalik. And Claudio Castagnoli comes out on top. Let's go to Friday Night SmackDown. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn start out the show. They talk WrestleMania, they talk the draft, and they talk the Usos, who may or may not want a championship match. More than likely do. The Usos interrupt. Of course. Because why not? They claim they're stronger than ever. The Usos say they'll be tag team champions again. Jay says that Zayn will turn on Owens like he turned on the Bloodline. The Usos and Solo Sikoa surround the ring, but Matt Riddle comes out and attacks Sikoa, and a brawl breaks out between the six men to start the show. Woohoo! The fifth match of the night was Wow! I put fifth match, it was the first match. The first match of the night was Xavier Woods versus LA Knight. Now, we saw the build-up starting of this match at WrestleMania to where LA Knight was mad that Xavier Woods was being featured just for playing video games. And Knight wasn't being featured. So Xavier Woods came out on top with that. We return to last December, where we see the destruction that Sikoa caused to Riddle with doing the Samoan Spike, and then with a chair to the throat. Judgment Day then make their way to the ring. Priest sends out a message to Bad Bunny not to mess with his family, and says that LWO, the Latino World Order, should not have gotten involved in his business, their business, as Judgment Day. So the second match was Santos Escobar versus Damian Priest. Damian came out on top. We return to last Monday, where Lita is attacked before her match and cannot compete. Trish Stratus takes her spot. but Lynch and Stratus lose, and Stratus attacks Lynch. We've already discussed this. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are in the ring. They're celebrating their championship win. Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green interrupt, and they complain about the way they've been treated. Now, Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green are kind of trying to be Karens, quote unquote, of the wrestling business. So, I'm over it. I'm just over it with those two. The third match of the night was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Madcap Moss. This was Shinsuke's return match from being away for a while. And the winner was Shinsuke Nakamura, because they're not going to let him lose on a comeback match. The Viking Raiders attack Braun Strowman and Ricochet backstage. Is this leading to a tag team match? I guess we shall see. The Usos will face off against Owen and Zayn at Backlash for the tag team championship. So we discussed this. It's already, it's pretty much confirmed. Was confirmed from Monday night that they are going to have a tag team match again. And it's going to be at Backlash in a couple of weeks. The fourth match of the night was Matt Riddle versus Solo Sikoa. Sikoa tries to take out Riddle like he did before and put him on the shelf again. Riddle's trying to stay on top of everything, but in the end, Sikoa gets the win. I'm just over the bloodline. So, Rampage, our final show that we are covering. The first match was the IWGP Tag Team Championship match. This was between Aussie Open versus the Best Friends. Aussie Open are the champions. They had just won them the week previously. And they're facing Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta in the Best Friends. The winners and champions of this match are Aussie Open. We hear from FTR as they make their way to the ring. They talk about re-signing with AEW for another 4 years. And they say that this is their redemption story. Now, we discussed this before. I think it might have been before WrestleMania, possibly, like the last episode. Where it was possible that FTR was not going to be re-signing with AEW. That there was a rumor of them going back to WWE, but Dax has come out and has said before that he will not work under Vince McMahon again. And with the rumors of Vince potentially taking over creative again, they were like, nope, just no. Not happening. And they say that after their 4 years are up with AEW, that they will be retiring after that. The second match of the night was an 8-man tag team match. This match made no sense to me. Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, and Satnam Singh versus the Spanish Announce Project and Man Scout Jake Manning. We know that Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal have been friends for like 20 years. They've known each other for 20 years. But Mark's like, I didn't sign up for this crap, this freaking 8-man tag. Like, I didn't sign up for this. So he pretty much got suckered. The third match of the night is Taya Valkyrie versus Emi Sakura. The winner is Taya Valkyrie. We also see during the middle of the match where Jade Cargill comes out because she's upset that Taya is using her quote-unquote finisher, which Taya says it's been my finisher forever and a day. So they're fighting over this. Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Jake Hager try to rap. My goodness. The Acclaimed come out and they're like, forget it, we ain't even rapping, forget this. They challenge Menard, Parker, and Hager to a 6-man tag team match next week on Dynamite after they attack Menard, Parker, and Hager. Fourth match of the night was a return from Shawn Spears versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry. The winner of this match was Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and now he is tied along with the other 4 pillars to be top contender. So I guess it's just a wait and see where things go. Let's talk some of the rumors that are going around that may or may not be true, and I'll give you my thoughts. Rumor number 1, Drew McIntyre leaving WWE. I don't think he'll leave WWE, but I could be wrong. There may be a possibility. His contract is up, and I want to say July, the end of July. And who knows? There's been rumors that he hasn't signed a new contract yet, that it's just can they negotiate enough and have talks enough for this? Rumor number 2 is that Seth Rollins is also thinking the same thing of leaving. Not sure how true that is, only because of the way Seth has been treated. He's been pretty much granted everything. But the reason why there is that rumor is because of what happened a couple weeks ago on Raw, where his segment was cut out of the show because of McMahon. And of course he wasn't happy about that. I don't see Seth leaving. Just my opinion. I don't see him going anywhere. Could he make it? Yes, he could. He could make it on his own. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't see him going anywhere. I don't really have anything else to discuss. Those were like the top 2 that I really wanted to talk about. Also talked about the I talked about the Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus and Lita situation, of being like transitional champions. Oh, also, this isn't a rumor, but the show that was coming up, that was going to be the King and Queen of the Ring, is now called Night of Champions. I'm thinking that this is going to be where every championship is on the line. I believe it takes place at the end of May, I want to say. But I could be wrong. I have it written down, I just don't have it in front of me. I want to say it takes place the same weekend as Double or Nothing. Like, I think that's one night, and then the next night is Double or Nothing. But I can't remember off the top of my head. I just love when that happens. I don't think I really have anything else to discuss. If I happen to see any rumors that, may be worth talking about, I'll pop on with a bonus episode here and there. But as of right now, there's not really much to discuss. We're waiting to see what's going to be going on with the Endeavor taking over and the shareholders and all that, and McMahon and Triple H and all that jazz. So it's just kind of a waiting game to wait and see what happens. So if you enjoyed this episode, I know it was rather a weird episode where we were just reviewing the results from this week and discussing some, but if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and share and a review on all of your podcast platforms. We are on all podcast platforms. We are on all social media at The Ring's Edge. Look us up on all social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I think that's all I have. I don't think I have TikTok. And if I do, I haven't posted on there in a really long time. If you have a suggestion for a upcoming episode, please feel free to message me on any of the social medias or email me at theringsedge06@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out the blog where all the results get uploaded on a weekly basis. I've been trying to stay on top of it lately. With the way my work schedule works, it may be like a day or so later, but I'm trying to stay on top of it. If you would love to come on and do a show with me, let me know. We'll figure out a time. We'll figure out how to do it. I'm still learning all this stuff with podcasts. So, yeah. And be looking for the upcoming episode of me reviewing the 1991 show of the Royal Rumble. I'm hoping to watch that today. We shall see. If not today, sometime this week, and I'll get it out as soon as I possibly can. But if there's anything else you would like me to discuss or talk about, please feel free to let me know. All the links will be provided to you in the description below. And remember, we always take it to the ring's edge. Have a great day.